What's happening, comic fans? It is Mike from the Hardcover Comic here. Hope you've all been doing well. Enjoying the amazing new content that's been coming out, amazing new releases that have been coming out. Today I wanted to talk about more releases coming out this summer, 2023. We're going to look at May through August. Around 15 releases that I'm really excited for. Mostly hardcovers in this case, just because there are so many amazing hardcovers coming out. It was tough to even get paperbacks in there, but maybe that's something we'll get to in a couple weeks. We'll see. If you're looking for a place to buy these books in the future, look no further than organicpricebooks.com. You can pre-order pretty much every title I'm talking about on there. Amazing website, amazing customer service, amazing shipping. I've been showing you promo codes on this screen. You can use those to get an extra discount off the already great discounts on organicpricebooks.com. THC2 will get you $2 off. THC Ship It Together will get you 5% off your order of 3 or more books. Very amazing service. Can't recommend them enough. Fantastic sponsor of this podcast. Now, without further ado, let's talk about some upcoming releases this summer that I'm very excited for. I'm going to try and do my best to stay in order of release dates, but we'll see. We'll see how things go. We'll start things off with a book that I'm very excited for. Coming out in May, The Department of Truth Deluxe Edition Volume 1. An amazing series written by James Tynion with artwork by Martin Simmons. One of my favorite titles at the moment. Really cool concept. It follows a character named Cole who has become wrapped up in conspiracy theories. He's a big fan of, it's part of his job to be on the internet and look at conspiracy theorists, look at people writing on conspiracy theory forums, subreddits, whatever it may be, and sort of analyzing that. And he gets looped into all this craziness that eventually leads him to the Department of Truth, which is this organization that is trying to keep reality contained within itself, because within this comic universe, the ideas that conspiracy theorists come up with, the more people that believe that idea, the more it becomes reality. Very cool idea. That's not a big spoiler. That's an issue 1 thing. I won't give away anything else really, but if you're a fan of conspiracy theories, not necessarily believing them all, but just the concept of conspiracy theories, this is a fantastic title to check out. In June, we've got a bunch of great stuff coming out, especially from Rick Remender. The first book I want to talk about is Deadly Class, the Deluxe Edition Volume 4. This is going to collect issues 40 through 56, 45 through 56. Written by Rick Remender, artwork by Wes Craig. If you're familiar with Deadly Class, this is probably a no-brainer for you. It's continuing the series from the previous 3 volumes. It's a fantastic series. If you don't know anything about Deadly Class, I recommend obviously starting from issue number 1. It follows a group of characters in a world where there is a school for assassins, for mercenaries, for kids that want to do something unusual, I guess, want to commit bad deeds for money, potentially with some moral compass guiding them towards what they do, but nonetheless, it follows a group of, sort of renegade characters, outlaws, anarchist type of characters. So you get a really cool set of characters. You get a really cool exploration of what can happen to someone's mental status and their outlook on life and morality if they grow up in difficult situations and end up living life in difficult situations. So it can be a heavy read at times, but it can also be a really fun and exciting read with great humor in it that actually makes you laugh. Wes Craig's artwork is absolutely amazing, and with every Rick Remender Deluxe Edition, they're extra oversized, so you're getting what is essentially an Absolute Edition or Library Edition size book with a Rick Remender release. So I highly recommend checking out Deadly Class if you haven't. If you have, Volume 4 is right around the corner. I think you're as excited as I am. An amazing book coming out in June that I really recommend checking out is the Coda Deluxe Edition. This is published by Boom Studios, written by Simon Spurrier with artwork by Matthias Bergara. I personally won't be picking this up, although I may double dip. I already have the series bound in one of my Simon Spurrier anthologies, but I love it. I love the title so much. It's 12 issues long. It feels much longer than that just because of how Simon Spurrier tells stories. And it follows a character who, we'll call him Mr. Hum. And he is a character who is fighting with his own morality. Within the universe that he lives, magic has changed quite a bit. There are a lot more rules when it comes to magic. A lot of people are fighting for this Acker stuff, which is how you essentially create magic. It's the fuel for magic. So many plot twists and turns, so much density within the story. Mr. Hum is looking for his wife, Circa. He's trying to rescue her from a group that's taken her, well, let's say, hostage. I don't want to spoil too much. This is all sort of, issue 1 kind of stuff, but it follows this character as he deals with a myriad of different races and creatures and elves and a lot of really cool stuff, a lot of really interesting world building, really in-depth world building with a story that has a lot of heart, a lot of emotion, and sort of takes an interesting look at life and making choices and morality and sacrifice, things like that. Really well done. I'm a huge Simon Spurrier fan, so there's a bit of bias there, but this deluxe edition is probably going to be awesome. It's probably not going to be around for a very long time, so if you haven't checked out this series, it's going to be the best way to do it. Next up in June, another Rick Remender book, The Scumbag Deluxe Edition. This is going to collect all 14 issues of the series. Written by Rick Remender with a variety of artists working on the title. All really good artists from what I saw. I think, having mentioned Wes Craig for Deadly Class, I think Wes Craig even comes in for an issue or two. A really cool title. The main reason I think it's interesting is because you've got a hero who, is sort of you got a main protagonist who's sort of an anti-hero, really kind of a loser, who makes a lot of terrible decisions and has a terrible compass guiding his decision making within life. But it leads to a crazy adventure. It leads to a lot of insane situations in this sort of futuristic world with interesting characters that have, almost superpower sets, along with very advanced technology, while this character is essentially kind of a hippie from the 70s. Really interesting stuff. Again, it's going to be a deluxe edition, extra oversized with a lot of really nice artwork in it. And it's a different kind of story for Rick Remender, in my opinion. He does a lot of different kind of stories, but sometimes they can thematically feel similar. And The Scumbag, while it does a little bit feel thematically similar, it's got enough differences that kept me engaged. I haven't read the full series. I've read about half of it, but I'm very much looking forward to finishing it in the deluxe edition format. Also out in June, the Absolute Dark Knights Death Metal hardcover is dropping. I have a custom bind for the series, so I'm not going to be picking this up personally, but I love Greg Capullo's artwork. I love Dark Knight's Death Metal. The easiest, I think it's maybe even been confirmed by Scott Snyder that there will be an omnibus for the series for the event in the future, so you can wait for that. But if you're looking to just get an absolute edition size of just strictly the main event storyline, this is where you want to go. I personally recommend the omnibus, but I love Greg Capullo's artwork. I'm sure a lot of others do. And Dark Knight's Death Metal is a really fun event. So if you don't want an omnibus, if you prefer absolute editions, this is coming for you in June. In July, we've got 8 Billion Genies, the deluxe edition. I think it's labeled as Volume 1, but it collects the entire 8-issue mini. Essentially, written by Charles Soule, artwork by Ryan Brown. An amazing title. I learned about this creative team, really impressed me with curse words. I like both of them independently as creators as well. Ryan Brown and Charles Soule are fantastic. I recommend checking out almost anything by them. You'll have a good time. 8 Billion Genies is an incredibly cool concept. The main idea, without giving too much away, is 8 billion people on the planet. Every single person gets a genie that grants them one wish suddenly. Just suddenly happens. Amazing idea with so many cool storylines that can spin off as a result of this. The insanity that ensues, the amount of ideas you get as a reader as soon as you hear about this concept. A lot of those are explored. It's very, very cool. I recommend checking it out. I think there's going to be a movie or a show coming out for this in the future. It's a fantastic, fantastic title. If you can't check out the deluxe edition, check it out digitally at least. It's really, really good. It's an amazing concept that really tickled me more than a lot of concepts have in recent comic book history. Another Rick Remender deluxe edition dropping in July, A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance. This is 11 issues in total, all collected within this one volume, so it's another one and done volume for you here. This book is amazing. I mentioned with The Scumbag that Rick Remender's, at times has a very consistent theme or a repeating theme within his books and a way of storytelling, which isn't necessarily a problem. But with A Righteous Thirst for Vengeance, I felt a very tangible change in that. It's not as wordy as Rick Remender books typically are, but it follows a character, Mr. Wen, who is a man who is very nice. He's a very humble, polite man who is, trying to do little things. He does little things to try and make the world a better place based on his own values. Of course, one day he stumbles upon a pretty terrible situation, and as a result, his life it starts spiraling out of control. I won't give away more than that. That's basically some of the stuff that happens in issue 1, but a really, really cool story with a really awesome character written by Rick Remender, with artwork by Andre Lima Araujo, who is amazing. I don't think I've ever seen any artwork by Araujo, but absolutely beautiful. I definitely want to check out more work. An amazing artist, and the way the story's told with the art, and it's just fantastic. I highly recommend checking it out. It's a different kind of story with a character that is very nice. For once in a Rick Remender book, things aren't all grim and dark and terrifying in this title, which is again a nice change of pace just for a Rick Remender book, and I can't wait to see this amazing art in oversized form. An omnibus getting reprinted in July is Secret Warriors by Jonathan Hickman and primarily Stefano Caselli. I had this book at one point, not the reprint of course because that hasn't come out yet, but the original omnibus. Secret Warriors is a gem among the Marvel comic universe. For me personally, I'm a huge fan of the sort of espionage side of things that Hickman explores here, including characters from the Marvel superhero universe. So you're getting characters like Quake, who are part of this team that Nick Fury is leading, along with some of the other Howling Commandos. The Nick Fury aspect of it is by far some of the best Nick Fury you'll see in Marvel Comics. Really some of the coolest character work you'll see in Marvel Comics. There's so many gears within gears turning to keep the clock of this story going. It's so well done. It's so intricate. It's so thought out. The artwork is fantastic. And with the omnibus, you get the entire story. What's not to love? Be sure to check out it in July because I'm guessing the reprint will eventually go out of print and you'll have to wait for another reprint otherwise. Another book dropping in July from Marvel that I'm very excited about is Superior Spider-Man Volume 1. This is going to be an omnibus, of course. Finally recollecting the books that I don't think have been collected since like the complete collection trade paperbacks, and there were oversized hardcovers as the series was coming out. But this omnibus will collect the first 31 issues of the title. I think a few other issues as well, some one-shots, things like that. Written by Dan Slott, of course, during his fantastic tenure on the Spider-Man character. Artists like Humberto Ramos, Ryan Stegman, Giuseppe Camuncoli. You're getting amazing artwork throughout the book. I'm not personally a fan of someone like Humberto Ramos' style, but for a book like Spider-Man, it makes sense and it works. It fits really nicely. It suits the tone of the title. Without giving too much away, this is, I think, almost a decade old at this point, this story, if not older than that. Superior Spider-Man, one of Spider-Man's villains takes over his brain and body, Peter Parker's brain and body, and essentially masquerades as Spider-Man for months, I think years. So that's the main concept of it. I won't give away more than that. It's so well done. Dan Slott did an amazing job. I remember this was a highly controversial run at the time as it was coming out, but in hindsight, I think we all appreciate it and enjoy it a lot, those of us that read it at the time. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend checking it out. It's probably my favorite Spider-Man story ever. In August, the DC Comics people have heard my pleas and cries. The Batman Adventures Omnibus is coming. It's going to collect the first, I think, 36 issues. I think that might be all of them. I forget, but we're going to get 36 issues of the title by Ty Templeton, Kelly Puckett, and I think a couple other creators. A true, dedicated, written continuation of the Batman animated series. Keeping that style, the character design, the atmosphere, the vibe of that show going in a comic book format. Unbelievable. So much fun. Some of the most fun you'll have reading Batman. It's not, just because it's Batman the Animated Series, if that's something you never watched and you don't understand what that show was about, it is not just a cartoon for children. It is very in-depth storytelling, well thought out stories and plots. With amazing character work, and this comic does everything the show did, captured in written format. It's amazing. I love it so much. I hope we get to see Superman Adventures, Batman and Robin Adventures, Omnis. I'm so excited. Also in August, Absolute Superman for all seasons. Jeff Loeb, Tim Sale, the legendary creative team that has brought us all so many fantastic stories, and this is one of them. If you've if you haven't been a Superman fan in the past, let's say, I think this is a book you might get into Superman with. It's a great exploration of, Loeb and Sale. They like to do these not necessarily a full origin story, but sort of a lifespan story of characters, taking you from, at times, start to maturity. And with this Superman book, that's kind of what you get. You get the humble beginnings of Clark Kent and moving into Metropolis, becoming Superman, dealing with Lex Luthor, the various orchestrations within Metropolis and the various difficulties within Metropolis for Superman. Really amazing stuff. Tim Sale's artwork is fantastic in this, as always. Beautifully done. The colors are amazing, and in an absolute format, it's just going to be stunning to look at. Fantastic 2-page spreads, 1-page spreads, just great artwork that suits the absolute format so well. It's a book you'll keep going back to, and for that reason, I can't recommend enough getting the For All Seasons Absolute Edition. A DC reprint coming in August is the Wonder Woman Omnibus by Brian Azzarello and Cliff Chiang. Goran Sudzuka in there as well, doing a lot of the artwork. Collecting the entire run from the New 52 by that creative team. This Wonder Woman, why this Wonder Woman Omnibus? Well, it's just a different kind of Wonder Woman story. Granted, it was one of the first huge runs I read for Wonder Woman, but it had this sort of Game of Thrones, Sopranos type vibe to it, that really made the story feel complex. It felt like the entire story spanned across the entire run, which does happen at times, but it isn't executed as well as the Wonder Woman Omnibus was. I'll say that. Great redesigns of some of the characters from Greek mythology. Great changes to Diana that don't necessarily break her as a character, but elevate her and motivate her to change as a character. You get to see characters like Orion show up quite frequently within the book, which is fun, adds a little bit of a spice to things. I love it. It's such a fantastic run. It feels like an interesting isolated pocket of Wonder Woman lore and history that's self-contained even in a way. I loved it so much. The art's by Cliff Chiang and Goran Sudzuka is amazing. It's such a fun style and energy. I recommend checking this out if you haven't already. Like I said, it is a reprint, so chances are it might go out of print again. But either way, if you're looking for a different kind of Wonder Woman story and you haven't read the Azzarello Chiang run, pick up this omnibus in August. A Marvel book I'm thoroughly excited for in the month of August. Immortal Hulk Omnibus. I think I've mentioned Immortal Hulk a few times. I'm really digging my way through Hulk now. As I've been reading from, the Peter David run, I'm working my way through Bruce Jones now. Loving it so much. I've come to respect Hulk as a character immensely. The writers that have worked on Hulk, I've come to respect immensely as well. And the Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing and Lee Garbett, for the most part, on artwork is no exception to that. Probably one of the best Hulk runs in recent times, particularly since the Peter David stuff. Really enjoyed it. Brings a little bit of the horror thriller aspect of Hulk. Kind of enunciates it, really strange things happening within the book. It's just a great Hulk story that leaves you, wondering what's going to happen every single issue. Lots of twists and turns. Amazing work by the creative teams involved on this. Can't recommend picking up enough. This is going to be a one-and-done omnibus. It should have the entire run, so you won't need any other books aside from this one. The last book we're going to talk about, also coming out in August, Detective Comics by Peter Tomasi Omnibus. Very excited for this one. Peter Tomasi is in my opinion, one of DC's best writers. He understands that universe so well. He's been so ingrained in it for so long that he knows the characters inside out. He knows how to utilize the characters' personality traits and their, the things that made them originally interesting in new ways, while also sort of reminding you of what the characters are supposed to be, what they were initially created as, and how that even reflects on our modern day and age. So with this book, you're getting his Detective Comics run, which goes through issues 994 through 1016, and then 1018 through 1033. A nice, chunky, solid, thick omnibus. It's going to be a lot of fun. You get to see characters like Arkham Knight get introduced into the DC universe. I think this was the first time he was officially introduced into the canon DCU. You get to see you get to start off with a really awesome story, looking at the mythology of Batman. Issue 999 is is a fantastic issue, sort of exploring the Bruce Wayne versus Batman aspect of the character, and how Bruce deals with that mentally. Really, really well done. It's what Peter Tomasi does best. If you haven't read his Batman and Robin run, I recommend checking that out, getting into Detective Comics. You can also just dive into Detective Comics without having to read anything in the past. It's fantastic. Can't recommend it enough. Peter Tomasi in general is awesome. That's it, though. Those are all the books I'm really looking forward to this summer. There are, of course, way more books coming out. There's so many releases in this day and age in the comic book industry. It's nuts. But either way, these are ones I'm very excited for. What do you think? Let us know down in the comment section below. Are you going to be picking any of the titles I mentioned up? Are you looking forward to any other titles? Let us know. There's obviously things I missed. Let's get a conversation going down in the comment section for more recommendations for the amazing people that love to read comics. I want to thank you all very much for tuning in. If you're going to look for a place to pre-order these, check out organicpricebooks.com. Promo code's down in the description below. You can copy and paste them, make it easy for you. Thank you all very much for tuning in. This is Mike from the Hardcover Comic. Until next time, as always, you stay classy, Internet.